Well, good morning. We're back with Grandpa Jerry for segment 3, the good part of the story. I'm very excited about this today. So yesterday we were talking about your early years. We ended with some very interesting information, which we will get back to a little later in the segment. But let's start today by talking about the market, where you worked in high school. When did you start working there?
The market was 2 or 3 blocks from the house that they were renting, Jack and Dorothy. It was on a main street to the big park out north of Bakersfield. Forget the name of the park. It was a average size for the name. It was like a 7-Eleven now, probably in size. Maybe not quite that big.
So not as big as JJ's for us?
Here?
Yeah.
No. It wasn't that big. It'd be half that size. It was full service, though. It had a full meat counter in it, a full dairy case, and naturally all the canned goods, bread, snacks, and all that stuff was in there. In those days, you could charge your groceries if you needed a charge account. So, you had a charge account customers that come in, and it was a manual cash register. Boop, boop, boop. And it was a manual adding machine.
So you would total everything up with the adding machine, and then you would put in the total?
Yeah, and then when they get, the total come up on the adding machine.
Oh, on the adding machine.
Yeah, and then they paid you or something, and you put it in the cash register, or else you put it on their charge account, either one. Mom set that up. I didn't know anything about it. She set it up because that's where she went to get most of her groceries. And I guess he needed some help. It was an older couple that had bought the market. And so he said, send him up here. So I was 15 because I didn't have a driver's license yet. And the working in a little market like that is they teach you everything. They teach you checking and stocking, and you're the janitor, and you work in the meat market. You do all that stuff. The market was open till 8 o'clock. Yeah, 8 o'clock, 7 days a week. So I got out of school at 2:30 and drove to the market, and I got there about 3, somewhere around 3, and worked to 8. And then on Saturdays and Sundays, holidays, I don't know what time I got there, but I worked till closing. I remember that. It's very good experience for a younger person that a lot of younger people don't get today, because you're interacting with all your customers and you're doing different things in the store. You do everything in the store. And I'd say a lot of the younger youth, they don't get that experience today. It's too, one thing at a time is all they get, like Burger King or whatever it is. You can only do one thing at a time. But it was very interesting. They taught me how to, they had a butcher in there, full-time butcher, and he taught me how to cut steaks and all that good stuff, make hamburger.
At 15?
At 15, 16, yeah.
You were wielding a cleaver?
That's right.
And butchering things?
I do not remember the price of steaks and things like that so much, but hamburgers was 3 pounds for $1. Made a big tray of hamburger. And bread was 4 loaves for $1. Beer, a case of Lucky Lager beer was $4.44. That's 24 cans of beer. Huh? So you can get you 3 pounds of hamburger for $1, case of beer for $5, and 4 loaves of bread.
I can picture you guys all loading that in the back of one of your cars, like we talked about yesterday.
That's right, And it's and you had to take care of the back room because, everything, soft drinks and all that stuff was bottles back in those days. And so the redeemable bottles, and the bottles, they're always bringing their bottles in and all, and you have to sort it, because if a Coke guy came in, a route guy came in, he's not sorting bottles. He wants to go in the back and get all of his bottles and put them in the truck. So he had to keep all the back rooms straight, with stock. and all the bottles so they could come back and get your money back and stuff like that. So you're doing everything. That's what you're doing.
Let's talk about that for a quick second. So when you say, so back then, I know everything was in glass, so you would have had like Coke and what else? Sprite? Was there 7-Up?
Yeah, Pepsi. I remember Pepsi, Coke, 7-Up, Orange Crush. I don't know.
So everything was in bottles, and then people would come back to the store and they would get money for bringing their bottle back? And then you would have a
Case.
bin. You'd have a bin of Coke, and the Coke driver would come pick up those bottles? Is that how it would work?
There was a case. There's, I don't know how many's in there. It's just 24-day case. It's either 12 or 24-day case. I don't remember exactly. And you've got to put them in their case. You can't be putting Coke in Pepsi case.
Right.
Right.
Then they would pick them back up and refill them?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Milk bottles the same way. Not refundable, but yeah, milk was all the same way. All glass. No carton that I can remember.
What was the name of the market?
Lucky's.
Lucky's Market.
Lucky's Market, River Boulevard.
And did people at that point in time, were there giant supermarkets like there are today, or did there tend to just pretty much be like local neighborhood markets?
No,
so
there
everybody
were
shopped
bigger
like that?
markets, but not like Vaughn's. No, I mean, there were bigger markets, like JJ's, in that size there. There was one up the street there, 5 or 6 blocks or something like that. But yeah, there was, I don't remember any huge markets. Probably it wasn't called for back then. JJ's size would probably be about it. A lot of smaller markets, though. A lot of neighborhood markets.
Did you enjoy working? Was it something that you liked doing?
Oh yeah, it was fun. The owners were fun, no problem. All the customers were the kick. They're always kidding around with it and everything. And all the guys that came in, the bread guys, Coke guys, they were all a good group. So yeah, and you learn a lot interacting with all those different people.
What'd you make an hour?
I haven't got a clue. I don't know.
Do you remember like a day or at the end of the week what kind of money you had in your pocket?
I always had money in my pocket. Mom didn't want any money. She'd never take any money from me. I always had money. That's why all the guys loved me, because I had the money for the beer and the gas.
And the Cushman scooter.
And the Cushman scooter.
Was it common for guys in high school, to have a job like that after school at that time?
Oh yeah, guys had gas station jobs. My friend worked in the drive-in restaurant. He did all that, and yeah, all the young guys had jobs back then. That's what they did. It wasn't. I don't think it was a family need thing. I think that's just the way it was in those days, But who knows? I don't know, because we could go, the gas station where the friends worked, or bakery. They had bakery jobs. Yeah, everybody had jobs.
So you want to talk about the good part now?
What, the good part?
Well, the part that affects me.
Oh.
Being here.
Oh.
All right, so let's talk about the love story and the market.
The love story in the market.
How'd you meet Grandma?
She lived right across the street. Her and her mother. Dad was out of the picture. I don't know. They got divorced, I guess, years ago. I don't know what happened there. But Margaret, Doris, and Marion, and Frank lived there, and Frank was the brother, and then Frank was the husband. And I don't know when he took off. I don't remember you'd have to ask Margaret about that. But and then Marion was the oldest one, so she was gone during this period when I worked in the market. And then Doris is the next oldest one, and then she was gone, so it was just Margaret and Frances, her mother, that lived in the house at that time. And they came over and bought most of their groceries there, truthfully. And but at that time I had an interest in another lady, so big deal. But
Who was the other lady?
Lois Amos, Amos.
And she actually came to visit you later in life, right? Is she the one that would visit from Bakersfield?
Once
Once?
she came over.
I remember Grandma got fired up about that. Jerry's old girlfriend is coming. Maybe he should have married her.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so you were dating Lois.
Dating Lois, doing her thing, because naturally had driver's license in a car by then. And Margaret came over all the time, And she started plying me with cheesecake. She made good cheesecake. And she'd bring that over, and all the guys and the owners always say, yeah, that's fine, Jerry, sure, she's after you. So anyway, it went along like that. I don't know, let's see, I went in the Army in December of 54. So I don't know, probably 54, 53, it went along like that for a couple of years, I guess, if I remember right.
So how often was she walking across the street with the cheesecake?
I used to tell her a hell of a lot. But
and you were dating Lois all during this time?
yeah, I was dating Lois.
And what did Lois think about the fact that some other girl was walking across the street with her pie?
I don't think she's real happy about it, but so I tried to keep them separated, you know.
Eat it really quick?
Yeah, eat it really quick, you know. But Lois came in. Lois didn't buy as many groceries there. I don't know where her parents bought it groceries, but she didn't buy as many groceries there as Margaret did. So I don't know. There was another grocery store next to us across the street, another small market, and a neighborhood bar was across the street over there. So maybe she bought some stuff in there. I don't know. I don't remember that part. But yeah, I went on there for a couple of years like that.
Did you remember thinking that it was curious that Margaret was always running out of butter, or like she was there all the time? Was she always finding excuses to walk across? Oh, dang it, we're out of butter again.
No, I was pretty attractive to women, so I didn't have a problem with that.
Did you like her, even when you were dating Lois?
Oh yeah, we got along good. She'd stay there and chat a while, you know, and then I'd say, I got to go back to work, go home, you know, but...
Did you like her enough that you thought about breaking up with Lois so you could date her?
No, I was going to marry Lois.
Oh, you were. Okay. So at some point during this time, you enlisted in the Army or you were drafted?
I volunteered for the draft.
You volunteered for the draft.
If you volunteer, you only have to go in for 2 years. If you enlist, you have to go in for 3 years.
Meaning, if you enlist, okay. So is that why you did it? Not out of a sense of like civic duty, but because it made it so that your time was short. Did you see it as being inevitable and it was a shorter time period?
No, there wasn't any, there was no conflict going on right then, but I was out of high school in June, so I'm bumming around there doing my thing, and I didn't really have anything to do, so I just said, I'll enlist in the Army. And the owners understood what I was doing. There was no problem there. They agreed with me. And it was a good experience. There wasn't anything wrong with that. But no, I just didn't have anything else to do, so I enlisted. And volunteered.
You didn't think about college? It wasn't like
not at that
point,
time, no.
Not an option or not something you were interested in?
No, not at that time.
Okay, so you call Lois or you see Lois and you tell her, good news, I'm going to be gone for a little bit.
And she dumped my ass.
Immediately?
Yeah, immediately.
Okay.
So there you go, I'm free.
So now you're free, and Grandma's still coming over with the cheesecakes?
Yeah, and then I'm out of there, December of 54, and went to L.A., go through the processing deal there. Then you go to Fort Ord, California, for more processing, and then I got sent to Fort Riley, Kansas, for 6 months. That was 3 months training, 3 months advanced training. At that time, what they wanted to do, what they did, is they took a complete army, of which was at Fort Riley, Kansas, and they took a complete army in Germany and switched them. And so at the end of 6 months, June, we got 2 weeks leave. That's what we did before we shipped out to Germany.
So let's go back for a second. How long before you enlisted, you went in, you signed the papers, and then you shipped out for basic training?
When you go down and volunteer for the draft, they have to process you. I don't know. I did it sometimes during the summertime, volunteered for the draft.
So you had 3 or 4 months?
Yes, if I remember. Like, yeah, because they have to process you and get everything going, your paperwork and everything. And then December, I went down to the bus stop, Bakersfield, and got on the bus, and I was gone.
So were you already, I don't want to use the word dating, but were you already kind of in a relationship with Grandma at that point before you left?
Not any different than standard
Just the cheesecakes coming over, you guys would chat at the market.
Right.
So you didn't kiss her before you left?
No.
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 Okay. And at that point in time, did you consider that she could be the person that you would marry? Like, did you think to yourself, she could really be the one that I want to spend my life with?
No, I didn't really think about that.
Not at that time?
Not at that
It
time.
was more about the dessert. You do love a good cheesecake. Okay, so you get on the bus. You take a bus to basic training?
Take a bus to Fort Ord, California.
Okay.
That's processing center.
Did anybody go to the bus stop to see you off?
No, I don't think so. I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe. No, I don't remember.
Do you remember being sad as you left? Were you excited? Do you remember how you felt as you were heading out?
No, I thought it would be a good experience.
So you were excited about it?
Yeah.
When you got to Kansas, were you homesick during that 6 months? Was it a difficult transition period for you?
No, no, you're too busy to be homesick.
Did Grandma write to you during basic training?
Yeah. She's the one that wrote first, I think. Because I still blame her.
So did you give her your address, or did she get it from Dorothy? Do you remember?
I don't know if she got it from the market or who she got it from.
But
Dorothy was gone at that time. Yeah, that was senior year. Dorothy was back in Indiana.
Okay.
So she must have got it from the market.
So you're just doing your thing at basic training, and then all of a sudden one day a letter pops up?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we started writing her for 6 months.
Did she send you packages?
I don't remember any packages. No. If she did, I don't remember it.
Did you get letters from the rest of your family while you were gone?
I think Dorothy wrote me because she wanted to know what was going on. I think she wrote me. Yeah, yeah, she did.
No other ladies?
No other ladies.
So talk about what it was like. I think people who have never had any military experience think about basic training the way that they portray it in movies. Super physically demanding, drill sergeants yelling at you. Is it like that? Was that your experience?
It depends on the branches of military you get in and what their objective is in warfare, probably. Like if you go in the Air Force, are airplane mechanics, all different things like that, and they really hardly ever get into combat. Air Force pilots, yeah, they do that. So there's that basic training is reasonably simple. The Navy, you're on ships and stuff, same thing there with basic training. The Marine Corps are a bunch of hardheads, and they're a little more difficult. They've killed people in basic training in the Marine Corps, and then they finally got that straightened around because the drill instructors were psychos is what they were, and they finally got all that straightened around. The Army is a little more easier where you do have stuff like in the movies. I mean, you do fire, real live ammunition, and you do crawl under real live ammunition firing over you, and you do throw real hand grenades, and you do wear gas masks and go into toxic chemicals and stuff and take it off and get a whiff of that. If you want something good, try that. And you do all of those things, but it's all a control thing, not to kill you, to teach you how to kill them. That's what it is. And it's not a real hardship. It's you get up at 5 o'clock, sort of like this here, 5 o'clock in the morning. You fall out for roll call at 6 o'clock in the morning. You go over to the mess hall and eat breakfast, and you usually got 6 to 8 o'clock. Everybody gets ready to go. You fall out at 8 o'clock and you go out for training for the whole day. And you either eat the little rations you've got in your pack, or else the meal wagon comes out, either one. But we had extremely good officers in our unit all through the 18 months in Germany that were very protective of the men about, getting food wagons out in the deal, We've been out in the pouring rain, and the guys are over there cooking the food wagon under the tent, hot meals, So there was things like that. So ours was good training as far as that goes, But you do that constantly, all the time you're in there for 18 months. You go out for different training for a week at a time, 2 weeks at a time. And if you've ever camped in the snow, you're really missing a good thing there. We did that. We camped in the snow, in Germany, because Germany's cold. It's really cold. So we also did that, and then the time goes by pretty good, and you have vacation time. I don't remember how much vacation you got, and we went to France.
Okay, wait, hold on. We're going to come back to that.
Oh, okay.
Don't jump ahead.
Okay.
So, okay, back to basic training. At any point when you were having these experiences that you're describing, did you regret it and think, this was a really stupid idea, I shouldn't have done this? Or you found yourself, did you love it? Did you love what you were doing?
Oh, yeah, it was great. It was really great.
So you were writing to Grandma the whole time that you were gone, basic.
Mm-hmm.
Did she have boyfriends other than you? Was she dating anyone else during that time?
The market next door to Lucky's Market was owned by people called, named Hasham's Market. Yeah, that's what it was. And their son worked in that market there. And there was also a guy that delivered the paper that she knew, who was a high school student with her. So she ran around with those two guys. Why she never married one of them, I haven't got a clue.
I guess that's lucky for us.
Yeah.
So at some point in time, you must have decided, like, I really love this woman. This is who I want to spend the rest of my life with. Can you put your finger on when that was?
No, not really. It's just we wrote back and forth, and everything seemed to be compatible.
And then at some point, you came home on leave, right?
June.
Okay, so you were gone December to June. You were gone 6 months. So again, at some point, you made the decision, this is it. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to marry this woman. You don't remember thinking that or deciding that at some point in your head?
Yeah, I went, I don't remember how in the heck I got back to Bakersfield now. I don't know how I got, but maybe the train, I guess, probably back to Bakersfield. And I went out to Louis and got a car and some money. I think he gave me about $150. And I went and got Margaret and took her to Vegas.
So did you know before you showed up in Bakersfield, I'm going to marry this woman?
Probably, yeah, I think so.
But you guys didn't talk about it, right?
I didn't give her any choice.
You didn't give her any choice. You just picked her up and said, we're getting in the car and we're going to Vegas. Okay.
Her mother wasn't happy about that either.
That you guys eloped?
Yeah, she wasn't real happy about that. But she got over it.
Did Frances like you?
Yeah, she liked me. There's no problem with that. She didn't think that eloping thing was a good thing, you know.
Oh. So did you buy Grandma a ring?
Yeah, someone still has those. I got two. Naturally, I got both of them, but they're gold bands, you know. So I don't know who's got them. Probably your mother. I don't know who's got them. But anyway, those two rings cost me like $120 for both of them.
Did you get down on your knee did you propose to her?
No, it was in the car. You can't get on your knee in the car.
So that's not exactly what a young girl thinks about when she thinks about getting married. Did she seem good with that? Like, just sort of like, sure.
She says it's a natural thing. I guess it's supposed to be that way, you know, so off we went.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so the rings that she wore, the silver ones, was that her original wedding set?
No, we bought that. I bought that later.
So what was it? It was a gold band?
Yeah, just wedding bands.
Did it have a diamond in it?
Heck no, I couldn't afford that.
Where'd you buy it?
You'd have to look on the receipt. It's still in the box. I think it was in Bakersfield. Yeah, I'm almost sure it was.
Were you nervous when you just made that decision? Going in to buy a ring for your future wife, I think is one of those moments in a man's life that's a big deal. Do you remember your thoughts about it? Were you nervous at all?
It's probably a bigger deal now than it was then. It wasn't that big a deal back then.
It wasn't?
I don't think so. You know, it's $10,000-$15,000 big deal now, you know.
Yeah, at least.
Compared to then.
Okay, so no proposal exactly, right?
I don't think so.
In terms of anything that you can really remember?
No.
Did you already have orders to go to Germany at this point? Mm-hmm. So you already knew that you were leaving? Mm-hmm. Did that affect your decision to get married in that way? Was it like, you wanted to tie her down? You know what I mean? Like lock her up.
Exactly.
Seal the deal.
Lock her up, boy.
Before you went to Germany?
That's right, before somebody snagged her.
Do you think you would have gotten married that quickly or in that way had you just been sent someplace else in the States?
I don't know. It might have been a different decision, Who knows?
How did you feel at that time knowing that you were going to be deployed overseas?
She didn't have a problem with it, neither did I.
So were you kind of excited about it, or
Oh, yeah, going to Germany? Yeah.
the idea of leaving her didn't bother you?
I told her to get a job.
Before we start talking about this project, you said something funny. You said you married a girl that you never dated. So what did you mean by that when you told me that?
We never actually dated.
Meaning you never actually went out?
No. I mean, our conversations was in the market, stuff like that. I don't know. I might have been at her house a couple of times talking to her mother and stuff. But no, actually, no. I can't date her when I'm engaged to Lois.
Were you actually engaged?
Oh, yeah. I bought her a ring.
Oh.
Yeah. She gave me the ring back. Dumped me.
Oh, so I can see why she wasn't real happy about Margaret coming along with her cheesecakes all the time. So that's, I think, a pretty unusual situation. Usually you would think that you'd have a couple dates at least, right, with the girl that you're going to marry.
Yeah, kind of check it out and see what's going on,
Okay, so you drove to Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
Was that your idea or hers?
No, it was going to take too long to get married in Bakersfield. You had to do, I don't know, you had to do quite a few things. We could have probably done it because I think I was off for 2 weeks. But no, we decided to go to Vegas.
Where exactly did you get married at there?
We got married in the courthouse, and that courthouse is still there, but it's, I don't know, it's a private building now, It was, I think it was $20. Justice of the Peace married us. My cousin was in the Air Force in Las Vegas, so I went out and got him, and he came to the courthouse with us, stand up for us.
What cousin?
Donald Jenkins. So I always told Margaret, got her for $20.
That's a good deal.
That's a good deal.
What did you wear that day?
I had nothing fancy.
Your uniform?
No, I had civilian clothes and.
Did you wear a suit?
No, we didn't take no suit.
No suit? Jeans? See, I could actually see you.
No, I don't remember what I wore.
Rolling up to the altar in something similar.
Yeah.
To what you're wearing today.
And her dress that we got married in was was hanging in the closet on Sycamore for years. And then when she died and everybody started clearing things out, we could never find the dress. Don't know where it went.
Was that a full-blown wedding dress or?
No, just a regular dress.
Just a regular dress?
Yeah, but that's what she got married in. And it was always in there, and then all of a sudden it disappeared. So I don't know if she died, if she took it with her, or what happened. I haven't got a clue, but it was gone.
So who came to your wedding? Anybody else besides Donald Jenkins?
No,
or there wasn't.
No, yeah, his friend came with him.
His friend.
Yeah, Donald and his friend, they were mechanics in the Air Force at Nellis Air Force Base, and they came.
So was Vegas your honeymoon?
Well, kind of, sort of. We hung around for a few days. You got to remember, in '55, the main strip wasn't even there. Nothing was out there. The old strip was there naturally, and that's where all the casinos were and motels and stuff like that. But no, we stayed there for a few days and came back to Bakersfield.
So after your 2 weeks was up, did you deploy to Germany?
Had to go back to Kansas. Had to go back to Kansas, and then naturally they get everything ready, and you got on the the train, and you took the train all the way to New York to get on the boat, and then you go on the boat, and you ended up in I think Germany on the boat.
Did you get to tour around New York at all?
No, you didn't go anywhere. You're restricted all that time.
So I realized when I was working on these questions last night that I didn't know how you got there. So that was going to be my next question. Did you fly or take a boat? How long did it take you to get to Germany by boat?
I don't know. You'd have to figure that out, I guess. It took a little while.
On an aircraft carrier or like
no, troop transport.
On a troop transport.
That's what it is, because they're all set up, with all the bunks and everything. Because there's a lot of people on that boat, It's a Navy ship, naturally, But it was, I'm saying it was every bit 6-7 days probably, because everybody, as soon as a lot of these guys got on the boat, they started getting sick.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. So did you get seasick?
No, not me, but they put them all up in the front. They had a place for all the guys that got sick, and they put them up in the front up there. No, I didn't get sick. And the cooks, the Navy cooks are really good cooks on those ships, so you got to do your thing in there. You didn't really have that much to do. You had to keep your area clean, and stuff like that. But it's just you read, hung around, talked, played cards and stuff like that until you got there is all you had to do.
Were you nervous?
On the ship?
Yeah.
No.
Thinking about what was going to happen when you got there?
No.
So that's pretty interesting. I mean, I didn't know that you have done a transatlantic crossing. I mean,
Sure.
that's a really unusual thing, I think, these days in particular.
Well, it probably is now, but you got to remember, see, they're transferring a whole army from one place to another. So, it's not like you join the Air Force or the Navy and you get through some training and they put you on an airplane for Florida, So, when you're transporting a whole bunch of people like that, you got to go on a troop ship. That's the only way you can get them there. You're not going to fly them there. It'd take forever,
Yeah.
to fly that many people there.
So were the small quarters in the ship, like 3 bunks?
Yeah, if I remember right, there was probably 2 or 3 bunks in there, but it was comfortable. There was no problem with that,
And so at least in this situation, you knew everybody that you were traveling with, right? Because your whole unit was
Right.
being swapped
Yeah,
out.
it's all the people from Kansas.
Do you keep in touch with anybody that you were good friends with from
Earlier
basic training or the
years, a
Army?
couple would we'd send Christmas cards and stuff, and then naturally over a period of time I don't know, maybe they die off or whatever, but no, I haven't heard from anybody for years.
So no, like you don't attend any of the military reunions or
No,
any of that kind of stuff?
I don't even know if they ever had one.
Okay, so where did you actually arrive? So now your voyage is over.
I don't know, Germany. You'd have to look. Hell, who knows? I don't know. Bremerhaven? Maybe it was Bremerhaven.
Okay, so some port city. So tell me about then the progression of what happened.
You unload, and if I remember right, I think we got on trains, if I remember right, to go to Schweinfurt. Schweinfurt was, if I remember right, it's up in the middle of Germany somewhere, and that's where the army barracks were, and we're coming in, and that army's coming out. So you're making a transition there, and I think it was on a train. I don't remember doing trucks and stuff like that. Probably too many people. Yeah, and so you get in there and you're getting everything situated as far as that goes, and you're confined for a couple of weeks. You had to get some, I think you had to get some shots and a few things like that before you can go out into the town, Schweinfurt, the town of Schweinfurt.
What was your job in the Army? What did you do?
Our unit was. You've got different units. You have infantry, you have medical, you have artillery, you have tanks. I can't remember what else you've got. Ours was infantry. Our whole unit was an infantry unit, which was ground fighters is what it was. And when you went out doing training exercises, you trained with tanks and artillery and all the different, you all intermixed there, But outside of that, no, it was an infantry, just a plain infantry unit.
Did you get promoted?
Mm-hmm.
So you were like, what when you left, what was your rank?
Sergeant.
I never knew that.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any of your military stuff, your uniform or any of those things? Did you keep any of that stuff?
When you get out, you get your uniforms. You get your dress uniform, you get your fatigue, your work uniforms. Any medals you get, or you get all that. But over a period of years, I think in Bakersfield, I don't know what happened to the uniform. Like everybody, you outgrow it, you don't, and you got rid of it. I got medals, and I don't know where they went. I have no idea where they went.
What medals did you receive?
Good conduct.
You did?
Yeah. good conduct, expert marksman, and then you get a medal for being in a foreign country. I don't know. I got 4 or 5 different medals. Yeah.
What's the good conduct for? You just you have good behavior over the time of your.
'Cause you're not a troublemaker. You're not drunk all the time, or come to work drunk, or go out on the weekends and you can't get up and you do what you're told, from your officers, your superiors and stuff. Yeah, it's good conduct. What it is.
So World War II ended in 1945. So you show up in Germany in 1955. So there's a 10-year gap between the end of the war and when you arrived. What was the state of the country at that time? What was going on? What did the buildings look like? Was there shortages of food? Were people on rations?
No. Everything was being rebuilt. That was no problem at all. We used to go out and shop in the stores. They had all kinds of stores. I bought Margaret at the time I didn't know it, but I bought her a watch, which was about $110, and sent it to her, and she had it forever. And I don't know, 7 or 8 years ago, I took it to the jeweler down in Arroyo Grande to have it fixed because something wasn't working right. And he fixed it. It was very minor things to fix it, and the watch at that time was worth $1,000. So, things were cheap over there, We didn't have a lot of money, but still things were cheap. So no, everything was being rebuilt.
So it wasn't like you were still seeing buildings that were crumbling?
No, in 10 years they cleaned all that up. And they had just started rebuilding the German army at that time. And they called me in, and a couple other guys, they called me in and said if I wanted to extend for a year, I could go to the German army, not go to them, but teach the German army about weapons and all that stuff, and I'd get another stripe. But I thought, I don't think I want to stay here for another 12 months. But no, Germany was in good shape at that time. The people were friendly. There's no problem with that.
They didn't resent you being there?
No, hell no. We spent a lot of money.
And food by that point was plentiful? Stores were stocked?
Oh,
it wasn't
yeah.
like the people were still starving?
No, we ate in all the restaurants, tried to drink up all the beer. That didn't work,
What was your favorite food to eat over there? When you'd go out to a German restaurant, what was your favorite thing that you ate?
They had some type of beef called Wiener Schnitzel. It's I don't know exactly what it is. I mean, it's the way it's prepared is what I'm trying to say. They had really good potatoes, mashed potatoes, gravy, stuff like that. But their food is not that much different than our food as far as that goes, But it was all very good. Sausage, they had a lot of sausage, very good sausage. When we would go out and train in the field, because you're around all these little small towns when you're out training. So somebody'd be coming around getting money from everybody so they could go into the little village and buy sausage. No beer, but sausage.
What was the name of the town again?
Schweinfurt.
How far away were you from Berlin?
I don't know. You'd have to look on the map.
Okay.
I never went to Berlin.
So now you're a married man. This is different from basic training. You're a married man. Were you homesick? Was it a bad situation for you? Did you?
No, not really.
You managed it pretty well?
I called Margaret in Christmas of '55. You couldn't call all the time. You had to do your thing, get in line and all that stuff. I called her in December of '55, asked her if she was still married to me,
She ran off with the newspaper boy?
Yeah, ran off with the newspaper boy.
So how often could you call? Every couple months?
And I don't know, but I never called. I just called on Christmas. I don't know if you, I don't even know if you had to get special permission or anything. No, I was never into it. It's not like you had a cell phone.
Yeah, you weren't texting, but lots of letters.
Oh yeah.
So there's lots of letters floating around in our family from that period of time, which I think is neat. What was the Army's objective there at that point in history? What was the point of having American soldiers on the ground in Germany at that time?
Probably the same policy that they have now in different places where they're stationed. It's a sword rattling thing between armies and countries and all that stuff. I've got this air base here. I've got this nuclear submarine over here. I've got this army here. I don't know. It's just of course, when we defeated Germany and all that stuff, you go in there and you're occupying everything. So they stayed. They're still there. They're still in Germany today. And they're in other places also. I think partly they're in Japan someplace until you get kicked out after a while.
How many men or women or whatever, how many soldiers were there just approximately at the base that you were stationed? Was it thousands or a couple hundred?
Oh, hell no. It was more than a couple of hundred. There was quite a few guys in there. Probably, I'd say that army was probably 4,000 or 5,000 people.
Oh, wow.
You're talking about a big deal. You got to remember, it's not just troops, it's everything else. Officers, cooks, truck drivers, mechanics. So it's a big thing.
Did you make good money doing that?
No.
For the time?
No. I had to send her money.
Well, roughly, what'd you make a month? Do you remember?
I think I cleared about $100, $110. So I had to send her money. I didn't have to, but I sent her money. So when you get married, you send her money, or your wife money. And I think she got 100 and something bucks. But
for your service?
Yeah.
So you got 110 and she got 100.
I think so, if I remember right. I don't remember exactly, but you're in these big barracks, 2-3-story barracks that were built for the German army. That's what we were in. And what each barracks had is a German barber, a German tailor, I can't remember, and you paid a few bucks a month for all those services. So you could go get a haircut anytime you wanted. You could have them sew stripes on your shirt or fix your pants if you tore them and things like that. We didn't have to pay for the cooks because the cooks were all Army personnel. So the money went a long ways. I mean, we traveled, on our money and went a long ways with it.
So you made $110 a month. That was an expensive watch for you then, thinking about what you were talking about.
Yeah, probably.
Did you buy anything for yourself while you were there? Anything that jumps out in your mind?
No. I bought somebody a clock. I don't know if I bought Dorothy a clock or who it was, but it was one of those small clocks, that goes around and stuff. That's all I bought.
Did you have any contact at that time with survivors of any of the concentration camps?
No.
Did you ever go to any of those? Did you ever tour any of those?
Nope.
Were you allowed to at that point?
I don't know. I don't remember. That was not something that interested me. They might have been off limits anyway. I don't know, possibly.
So talk of that kind of stuff, you didn't see people that had been affected by that. It just wasn't something that affected your experience in Germany?
No, because if the survivors would be 10 years older, back maybe in good health again and everything. So, no.
So now let's talk about traveling. So I know you had the opportunity, you told me to leave, to do a lot of touring around in Germany, but also to travel to some foreign countries. So where'd you go and how'd you get there?
I went to Italy.
Where at?
Rome. Sat outside the cafe, the Colosseum, right across the street, and watched the idiots go around in that circle. The motorcycles and the cars don't care about each other. I can't even imagine what it's like today. It was nuts. But anyway, we went there, did our thing there. Went to the...
Did you go any place besides Rome?
No, we went to the cathedral. Outside, we didn't go inside. Did that, and then that might have been one trip. Another trip, we went to Switzerland. And Switzerland's really neat. I mean, the mountains and everything, and then the restaurants are up on top of the mountains, and you get to go up the tram, to the restaurant. So that was kind of a neat experience there.
Summer? Is this like spring, summer? Or was this winter when you guys were traveling?
No, there was snow, so it must have been winter when we went there that time.
No skiing?
No, no. Let's see, Switzerland, Italy, France. Margaret's brother was in the Air Force in France. So, because he was career Air Force. So we went over. I think I went, maybe a buddy went with me. We visited him and his family.
In Paris?
No, we went to London for a couple of nights. So you could go, the money, the trains were really cheap, and the food was cheap, so your money went quite a ways.
What did you see in London?
A bar.
It would be a pub, wouldn't it?
It'd be a pub.
Anything touristy that you did there?
No, not really. I don't think we had much time. in London. So I don't remember exactly what that was about, but it was kind of interesting.
So since I've known you, you haven't done much traveling. Not like that.
No.
Did you get it all out of your system when you were young?
No, I don't know. Margaret and I we were just not ones to travel that much. I tried to get her to go to Hawaii a few times. She said no. There was some, back in those days, there was boat trips up to Alaska, 5 or 7 days. You go inland and stay in the hotel in there overnight and stuff. And she didn't want to go on those. So we just did our thing, but if you mentioned Tahoe or Vegas, she was ready to go.
She was on it. Any place that you'd like to go back to that you visited from that period of time?
You mean overseas?
Yeah.
No, not really. They do the same thing there that we do here.
Yeah.
Maybe a few things are different, but not really. It's the same thing, same problems, as far as that goes. Shopping, So no, I can do it just here just as well.
Did you get into any mischief while you were gone?
Overseas?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're supposed to get in a little.
Well, let's talk about that.
No, we didn't get that much mischief. We did go out when you go over, like I say, when you're confined, when you get there and everything gets settled down, you're confined for a couple of weeks, so everybody can get settled down, get their assignments and all that stuff where you're supposed to be. You get some shots. I don't know what the hell the shots were for. You get a couple of shots, and they release you onto the German people. And they have a meeting before they release you, and they tell you. Now, we know you're going out because I think it was Saturday afternoon or something. Now, what you want to do when you go out here and start drinking, you want to be very careful and back off. German beer is not like American beer. It's a lot richer. It'll make you sick. Well, what the hell are you going to tell an 18 or 19-year-old that? That's bullshit. So anyway, so we did go out, and we did, a whole bunch of us got drunker than a monkey.
This is your first day out?
The first day out, here comes the military police with the truck and picked us all up, put us in the truck and took us all back and made us go to bed. So it wasn't a big thing. We didn't tear up anything or anything like that. But some of the guys really, really did get sick from that rich beer. So you learned after that to kind of get into it easier, But no, we drank a lot because that's what we're going to do on the weekends if we're not traveling. You're going to go out drinking. But we did do our thing. And Philip and Dennis Crosby, Ben Crosby's sons, was in our unit.
Oh.
Yeah. Not in my unit, but they were part of the Army. And they actually got Dad to come over for Christmas of 55 and give a show.
You saw Bing Crosby perform live
Yeah.
for his sons in your unit?
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. They were normal guys. There was no problem with them. But we didn't have that much contact with them. They were in a different group as far as that goes. And then Elvis Presley was in Germany, not in our unit, but he was a different unit, and he was a truck driver.
At the same time you were there?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, didn't see him, never seen him. I didn't know who in the hell he was anyway, probably back then. But yeah, we had famous people.
Did you have the opportunity to go home during the time? So, did you get to go back to the States during the time that you were in Germany, or once you were there, you're there?
I don't think you could.
Okay.
I don't remember anybody doing that.
Do you have any concerns about Grandma being faithful while you were gone? Was that something you worried about?
No.
Where did she stay while you were gone?
With Francis.
So she just lived at home the whole time?
Yeah, right.
What did she do while you were gone?
Beneficial Finance Company. She worked there. I think she worked there.
Is that a bank?
No, it's a finance company.
Like a lending institution?
Lending institution. It's not a bank. I think she worked there all the time until I got home. Yeah. So she stayed pretty busy.
And we talked about the fact that you sent money to her.
Mm-hmm.
So $100 a month?
I think it was something like that. Yeah. She spent all that, though.
We do usually do that. Anything else about this period of time you want to talk about, or any other memories you have of being there? Is it a time that you look back on, in your life and you think, I'm really glad I did that? Have you had good memories of that?
Well, it's like I said before, probably the youth of America today, when they're wandering around and getting out of high school, and they're not in college, or they're taking a couple of little college classes and stuff, and maybe they're making pizza at Pizza Hut and stuff like that, they probably should consider military service, not because you're serving the country or anything like that, but because of the fact of what you learn, interacting with a large group of people, and how to take care of yourself in critical situations, and you can go all different places in the world, but that doesn't seem to be the case with a lot of military people now. Plus the fact military people now are making pretty good money. One of the guys in the park that I worked with, his nephew, I don't know, he might be retired now, but he was career Navy on a aircraft carrier, computer guy. And this is the government screwing the government. When their re-enlistment comes up, they take them out to sea. Be sure they're out to sea when their re-enlistment comes up. And he's re-enlisted for another 4 or 6 years. And his re-enlistment check was $20,000. And so they send it back to his bank in the United States, and you don't have to pay a dime of taxes on it. Plus, he came way up in rank. And so, like I said, I don't know, he's probably retired now, but military makes really good money now compared to a lot of jobs in the private sector.
And do you look back and regret the fact that you didn't stay in? Do you think I should have done that as my career path?
No, I didn't want to stay in.
Did you have the opportunity to use was the GI Bill around, or were?
I used that after I got out.
Did you use like a VA loan? Were you eligible for those things? Did those programs
I never
exist?
used the VA loan, but I used the GI Bill.
So if one of your grandkids or great-grandkids came to you and said, hey, Grandpa, I'm thinking about enlisting in the military, you would not discourage them? That would be something you would say?
I would encourage them if they, see, the thing about going in now, if you've got a field you're interested in, you can go down and apply for it. And you can do all your paperwork. If there's not an opening right now, they will put you on the list for the opening, and when the opening comes up, then you go into service. You don't go in before. They won't take you until there's an opening in this field. And you've got to stop and think of all the training you can get free in the military. It just depends, on your background. They do all the tests on you and everything like that. So yeah, I would say, explore it, because there's all kinds of programs in there. And the aircraft carrier ship that he was on is all run by computers, the whole thing.
So I guess we'll end with, tell me about your experience coming home. So you served, how long did you serve? December of 55 in Germany, and then when did you come back?
December 56.
Okay, so you were gone a year. So did you get home in time for Christmas?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. I got out I got discharged in Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, because I wanted to go see Dorothy and Jack.
So you come back into the same port in New York?
Yeah. They got on the train, and they shipped me over to Fort Leonard Wood. Hung around there till they got the discharge papers ready. Got out of there, went over and seen Dorothy and Jack for a while, and then I think I bought a car while I was in Indiana, if I remember right. I had a few bucks, discharge money and all that good stuff they pay you off. And I found this car, it was $800. And so I called Louis. I said, send me $600, will you? Yeah, that's right, I did buy that car. Bought that car, and and then took off for back to California. And this is December. And I mean to tell you, it is cold in the Missouri and all those places going through there. Coming through Missouri, the wind and the ice and the snow was blowing, and on the right side of the car was completely solid ice, froze up. So I pulled in this, I guess, this small town or whatever it was, cafe. It was in the afternoon, the evening, whatever it was, to eat dinner. And the waitress says, where in the hell do you think you're going? I said, California. She says, not tonight, It was so cold, and it was frozen over. So she called a motel over and got me a room in the motel. you know, and I stayed there. Then the next morning, the sun started coming out, and I got out of there. So after I got down the road quite a bit, it eased up. But yeah, about that. We had that car for quite a while.
So you find yourself yet again driving across the country alone.
That's why I forgot about that.
I think not an experience that many people have, particularly at 16 years old. And so how many times did you do that?
Hell, I don't know, once, twice, maybe 2 or 3 times.
So how old are you at this point when you're driving home?
18, 19, 20.
So I can almost picture you in my mind. You're 20 years old. You're back from Germany. You're alone, and what kind of a car was this that you're driving?
A 52 Plymouth Belvedere.
What color?
Maroon color on the bottom and a grayish color on top.
So I can kind of picture you. It's morning. The sun's rising. You're in your new car, heading towards California. The sun's rising in the sky. And what do you find yourself thinking about at that period in your life?
I want to get the hell out of that snow, is what I'm thinking about.
Are you nervous about now going home? You have a wife. You don't have a job.
Nope.
So you're not nervous?
Nope.
No nerves at all?
Nope. Just headed for Bakersfield.
Heading off into the horizon to start the next chapter of your life.
That's right.
Well, I guess we'll get to that tomorrow.
Okay.
All right. That's it for today then.